Isn't this beautiful? All these lovely leaves. Leaves everywhere. It's lovely because as you walk along they're just rustling beneath your feet. This, I think, is possibly the last day of autumn. It's the 1st of November. So in that, of course, it's the first day of the Celtic New Year. So I know that the world goes by the Julian calendar. But take heed, at the end of the day, all those calendars were created by man. The calendar that I follow is very much dictated by Mother Earth and nature. So the 1st of November represents the first day of the dark proper. And the dark, in reality, will continue until the 1st of May, which will be the first day of summer. There's the sheep up there, just running along. But this is a beautiful sight. A sight for sore eyes, as the saying goes. There's a little robin. Little robin just come to follow me around. My little friend. So I'm going to take a walk along to the stone circle. Because again, this is just one of those beautiful, mild, late autumn, early winter days. And the forecast from the weatherman is very much a case of extremely cold weather coming in and hanging around for quite a while with below zero temperatures. So there'll be frosts, and much of what's left in the garden that's flowering, like nasturtiums, will of course all die back. So I expect it's just good to mark this day and to come out and have a little walk and admire, like that beautiful leaf. Beautiful. Of course the bamboo will stay green. And all the evergreens. And then there's a lot of scaremongering goes on as well, you know, with the weather systems. You know, sometimes I think it's as though many people are almost seeking the end of Mother Earth. You know, there's a lot of religious cultures and religious groups that are heralding the end times. They can't seem to wait for the end times. Isn't that sad? Well, I have a few things to say about that. Every single human being on this planet will face their own end time. But it's what people do between now and then which is significant. Not the fact that they die. That's barely significant, because that's only to be expected. But it's what they do. It's how they live their lives, you know? Life is a wonderful opportunity. It's a wonderful opportunity. It's something to be embraced and enjoyed and worked at as well. We have so little time on this beautiful planet. We have so little time to spend with Mother Earth. It's imperative that we use that time as best we can to help look after her and care for her, but also, you know, to enjoy. I love coming out here and just walking. And the seasons are incredible. We have these beautiful seasons. So I'm still waiting to hear back from Jerry about the book, and if that hard copy is going to be coming my way. I'm hoping to have it by Friday. If I get the hard copy by Friday and sign off on it, then it'll be approximately 2 weeks from that point. And there's a little booklet now that I'm working on. Well, it's reworking a booklet that I issued, it was about 5 years ago, had to be about 5 years ago. And I've mentioned it before. It was entitled A Bealtaine Cottage Guide to the Deep Midwinter, and just a booklet. It was all in black and white because I had it just sort of run off on a photocopier and then stapled together. But I've been talking to a printer in town and who does, you know, small pieces of printing, and although it'll be fairly expensive to print because it's not, you know, like printing a book, but it's going to be in black, it's going to be colour. So I'm reworking the entire book, and I'm going to almost triple it in size. So it'll be about 50 pages, something like that. And yeah, I'll keep you up to date with that. Because if things go according to plan, I should be able to have that ready for about the beginning of December. We'll see. We'll see. I'm not going to make any promises on this one because I want to get book 2 out. The later part of the summer here has been quite wet apparently, although I didn't notice it. But it's interfered with the silage, you know, which is the cut grass. They cut the grass and they put it into big rolls, like silage bales, and then they keep that for the cattle during the winter. Well, they only got one silage cut done this year, so apparently they're not able to put the cows into calf and they're having to sell off a lot of the young calves that they have already because they haven't got the food to feed them with. Well, this is an interesting little tale, because today, whether you know it or not, is actually World Vegan Day. Now, I'm not vegan. I try to eat a plant-based diet, and I suppose I would be about, if I was to be measured in terms of the food I eat, about 95% vegan, I expect. I certainly don't eat meat, and I try to keep away from dairy, and I haven't eaten meat actually in years. So, World Vegan Day was spoken about on the Irish radio here this morning. And I think it was Kiera Kelly on News Talk, and she had some bombastic, arrogant sod talking about World Vegan Day, or mentioning it. And very bullish, very arrogant, very condemning of the whole vegan thing. So what I'd like to say is, look, we already have a situation here where farming is in crisis because of the weather change and the wet summer, and they haven't been able to get the silage cut, etc., and the cattle are all indoors because the ground is too wet, because over the years, of course, they've bred bigger and bigger and bigger and heavier and heavier and heavier cattle in order to have more and more profits, more and more meat. And so the cattle are now so huge that they can't put them out on the land because the land is too wet at the moment. So that's it in a nutshell. Well, getting away from the nutshell approach, there's a few very interesting aspects to this. And that is that, first of all, a plant-based diet is very healthy. And I know I get the usual response like, but us humans are made to eat meat. Well, actually that's wrong, because for someone who hasn't eaten meat in decades, I've been told I'm a fairly good 62-year-old woman in terms of my overall health and energy and everything else. So the proof of the pudding, as they say. But we should really be eating a lot more fruit and vegetables and grains. And that's certainly what I was brought up on. And I've spoken about this before as well, where I've said, you know, that we had so little meat when we were children. It would probably equate to something like about 4 ounces a week. You know, 4 ounces of meat a week. Well, the average child growing up now must have pounds of meat per week. They must have somewhere between, you know, possibly 10 times that amount, probably easily 10 times that amount, because it's not just the meat, you know, which is there served, but it's all the meat products which are in products, because of course we're all eating, or well, not me, I've tried to keep away from it, but many people are eating ready-made food which is infused with meat products, you know. And dairy products as well. So I just think that it is very kind to Mother Earth to eat less meat. You know, just to eat less. I mean, I have several of my children eat meat. I say several, I have 3 children. 2 of them eat meat, although in very limited amounts. My grandchildren eat meat. But all I do at Bealtaine Cottage in terms of, you know, how I live my life, I try to model a life for other people to see and for generations to follow, because there are going to be problems in the future. Problems that we will have to address And in many ways, my lifestyle here is preempting those problems and actually getting to the nitty-gritty and addressing them now in the way I live. So little things like saving water, compost toilet, having a shower rather than a bath. I don't actually have a bath here. Lowering use on electric, which is in many ways is better than going off grid. You know, if you can be more modest in your use of utilities, because civilizations become very extravagant with utilities, very extravagant with water, very extravagant with electric. So my lifestyle here models sort of little better ways forward. Because people can get very frightened and very, very sort of almost scared of the future, you know? As though suddenly everything's just going to come to an end. But you see, the way things are going, there are lots of changes happening, and we have got to try to adapt to that change. Each change that comes along, we've got to try to adapt. That's all. That's all. And not be frightened of the future. But certainly not like that arrogant man on the radio this morning, on Kiera Kelly's radio programme, not to be so dismissive of vegans and to actually make fun of them and you know, the kind of bully in the playground approach. I think we've had enough of all that nonsense. Really enough of all that. We need to be looking at better ways to live. That's all. That's all. There are better ways to live. And we just put those little new bits of the whole picture into place. And we do it little by little. You know? Look at Sammy Bear running up the tree. It's like there's a cold spell coming. Well, I'm going to wear more layers of clothes. I've already got my Ugg boots on, which are my fur-lined boots there, which are very warm and cosy, with thick socks underneath, because if you keep your feet warm and your shoulders warm, you are warm. And if it gets really cold for any sustained length of time, I'll move into the lodge. And if I lived in the city or an apartment, I would just make a little habitat in one room. Keep one room nice and cosy and warm. Because that's all you need. You know, we can only live in one room at a time anyway. So you can kind of, you know, get your little electric kettle and your teapot and a little tray. You know, pack a little tray with you know, snacks and the wherewithal to be able to make hot drinks, and make a comfortable space in as small a room as you can find. Make sure it's well heated and a little bit of ventilation, and you know, you're good to go. But you know, people in the media have got to stop criticising those who are just trying to tackle the issues now. And whether it be excessive use of electricity, excessive use of water, excessive eating of meat, excessive adherence to dairy in the diet, excessive buying of consumer durables, whatever it is, we just need to cop ourselves on and say, hang on a moment. If the world is in crisis, if we're having these critical weather events and, you know, things are becoming a little bit uncertain, then let's just be a wee bit more humble, a wee bit more modest in how we expect things to be. And be prepared to power down and be prepared to just make little changes to our diet. And be prepared to think in terms of, well, do I need to have a bath every night? Could I not just have a shower every morning? Instead of having a bath every night, make a couple of hot water bottles to go to bed with. That can be so relaxing. So relaxing. Anyway, just the day that was in it and the things I've heard and the issues that are arising. And the cold spell to come. I've got two boys looking at me. I've got big boy, Jack, who's saying, well, I'm okay, Mum, because I've got a nice cosy bed in the porch. And then I've got big cat Sammy Bear, who loves Jack. He's getting very playful. He's looking over at Jack there, you see, look. We all need to start adapting. I know many of you, like myself, have begun that adaptation. And you know, there's nothing to fear. It can be fun. It can be fun. New things, new ways of looking at the world, changes. It's all fun. Challenges. A lot of our lives in the 21st century, especially in the civilised, or should I say, commercialised world, we've become like that Egypt on the radio this morning, a bit too arrogant about what to expect from life. When in reality we shouldn't expect anything. Except that which we, you know, make the effort for. Beginning to feel the temperature drop, just a little bit. Now I've brought this down from my daughter's in Belfast. It's a shoe rack. It's stood up on one end at the moment. But it's too big. So I'm going to give it to my daughter to put onto one of the sales sites. She's getting her, I think it's her car tax or something together at the moment. So all these little things that she gets a few euros for that. That'll all help out. It's beautiful. Beautiful evening. Oh, Sammy Bear's waiting to go in. He's going to jump up there. I think he's got some food up on the side. There he is. He has his biscuits up there on the dresser. And Jack has a cosy bed, food and water, haven't you, Jack? See, he's got two cushions down there. He's got his big cushy dog bed and then a big pillow that he sort of arranges himself. He's got his food and water, but he says, I don't want to go out there yet, Mum. So, I shall speak with you tomorrow. And I think it's going to be from a much colder Bealtaine Cottage. But, time to get those winter woolies out. Have a lovely evening, everyone. Blessings to you all.